Hello, everyone, and welcome to Burn the Ship, the podcast that helps entrepreneurs go all in on their business, and we introduce them to professionals that can help them to do so. Today, we have a very special guest. Joseph, how are you doing today?
Doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks. Please introduce yourself and the name of your business.
Yes, my name is Joseph Shopp. I'm the president and chairman of the board of Eden Energy Solutions.
Awesome. We look forward to learning more about Eden and how you're helping people out there. But we want to learn a little bit more about your journey. So please go ahead and jump in it and tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, being president and chairman of the board, I do not come by this position through natural circumstances. Typically, this is a position that you work into through years of executive experience. Definitely not how I got here. I was kind of handed this role, was able to step into it. But when I say I don't come here by conventional means, I was homeless at the age of 15, pretty much about a seventh grade education. I think that was early on about the furthest that I could really focus on school and not just trying to survive life.
Yes, that is a tough thing to overcome, but we see you're here. So you continue to persevere. At that time, did you just take on some odd jobs, or did you come across a mentor? What happened after that?
Yeah, early on, day one, homeless camp, standing around this homeless camp, looking at the circumstances and thinking to myself, I am not going to make it. I'm not going to survive. I probably will not make it even through the night. Looked up to the stars and said, Lord, this cannot be the plans that you have for me. I know you spoke things into my life when I was a young boy, and I know that those promises are true. So there's got to be something else out there. Actually, through the homeless process and just stumbling around, stammering around, ran into a gentleman that was the foreman for a lawn care company, and told him I was looking for a job. They hired me on the spot. Very quickly, I learned that this was not a position that I would move up through using any type of intelligence, which I didn't have a lot of intelligence or education. So it was just going to be hard work, right? In order to move up, you're just going to have to outwork everybody. So that was the mentality that I took on at the time. I'm just going to have to outwork everybody in order to move up and advance. Fortunately, the owner of the company was not willing to advance me no matter how hard I worked. Getting a raise or moving forward just wasn't something in his purview, which was a blessing. Ended up leaving that organization and taking on a job as a roofing hand, working for a roofing subcontractor who worked for a fairly large contracting outfit out of the Austin, Texas area. Again, same mentality. Let me just outwork everybody. The gentleman had his three sons and my brother working for him at the time. But in that industry, it does require a little bit more education, a little more dedication, a little more knowledge. So hard work, outworking everybody was not going to get me where I was trying to go. I had to learn a few things, which industry wide, I started to educate myself in that industry and quickly became the lead hand for the gentleman I was working for. Unfortunately, money management was not his strong suit.
Okay.
So he would burn through my paycheck at a ferocious rate, gambling most of my money away, and then showing up on Friday with about a half a paycheck saying, I gambled away your money and I'll make it up to you. So eventually I expressed to him that if you show up again without my paycheck, I'm going to have to move on.
Yeah.
Friday came, he showed up without my paycheck. I moved on. The contractor that we worked for, he called me up immediately. He asked me to go back to work. I said I couldn't do it. So he said, how about you come to work directly for me?
Okay.
Okay, sounds like a great plan. I would be my own subcontractor working for this contractor. Unfortunately, at the age of 17 at this time, I had my own hand tools, personal hand tools, no truck, no trailer, no real tools to go out and accomplish the work that was needed. He gave me a call the next day and said, hey, how about you meet me over here at this dealership? Met him at the dealership. He purchased a truck. We bought the truck, drove over to another lot, bought a trailer, drove to Home Depot, and he filled that truck and trailer full of every tool that I would need to be successful. And he asked me one very, very important question. He said, "Do you want to be successful in life?" I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "Then find somebody who's successful at what you want to do
Mm-hmm.
and copy them.
Mm-hmm.
There's no rules against that." Um, he was an amazing leader and businessman and an example. And so I copied what he did. And I found pretty good success in that arena. Years later, ended up in a bad accident, got hurt, fell off of a roof, broke my body into pieces, almost cost me my left leg.
Mm-hmm.
And through that process, made a decision with my wife to move out of that construction industry and into the manufacturing industry. Took on a position there. Um, Again, starting at the bottom of this manufacturing company, looking at where I needed to go and how I needed to get there. Hard work was, again, not going to be the only path forward. I'm going to have to educate myself and learn about this industry. So I did that very quickly, and very quickly there became the lead machinist, running their fabrication shop and machine shop. Um, until one day, you get this still small voice that says, "Hey, you're going to leave this industry. You're going to leave this cushy, comfortable job that is taking great care of your family. And I want you to go back into the construction field."
Mm-hmm.
That still small voice was from the Lord. And in the midst of the worst construction economy in the United States in 40 years, I called my brother up, who was still in the construction field, still in the roofing industry, and I said, "Hey, God says I need to quit my job, come out and start this business with you and move it forward." Um, yeah, he told me I was an idiot. He said, "No, no, no. If you do," he's my older brother. He said, "If you do that, I will fist fight you. I will punch you right in the mouth. You're walking away from a substantial career that has supported your family and put you in a very good position for many, many years." He said, "There's no work out here."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Well, God says there's something different." Um, Quit my job on a Thursday. Last day, Friday, I told my brother, I said, "I'm not going to do anything on Friday. I'm going to kick back, relax. I'm going to take a deep breath of fresh air." I said, "But mark my words, on Monday we'll be working."
Mm-hmm.
I had no truck, no tools, again, no opportunities, no prospects, no contractors, nothing. Faith, period. Um, he called me up on Friday as I was sitting there in prayer, and he said, "You won't believe this." I said, "Yes, I will." And he said that I've been courting this company for 30 days, for over a month, and they just called and asked if we could start a project on Monday. I
Oh
said,
man. Okay.
"I told you we'd be working on Monday." Um, Fast forward a few years, we were very successful early on in generating business, and um, ended up meeting a gentleman that we didn't I didn't meet him until well after the roof was complete. The project was done. I did the entire transaction through his wife's parents, who lived in Houston. He lived in Sweden. Long story short, they end up coming home. Solar people put a hole in their roof. I get the phone call: "Hey, your roof is leaking." Okay, we'll show up, find out the problem, correct course. But I talked with this gentleman for about an hour in his driveway, get to know him. This is in 2012. We ended up getting to know each other pretty well. Worked with him for many years. Come 2017, we built about a $2 million home for this gentleman, and through that process, it took quite some time for that size of home. So we really got to know who each other was, how we operated, our integrity, our honesty, all the nuances of how we ran our businesses. And he was into regenerative agriculture. Um, and ended up in a regenerative agriculture conference in Florida. Ran into our CEO, my business partner, dear friend and brother, Jonathan Appel, who had a family technology, um, the Eden Energy Solution. This family technology had been around for about 30 years, 350 million in research and development. And they were getting ready to launch phase three of their technology. And this gentleman, meets Jonathan Appel and says, Jonathan says, "Hey, we're looking for people who can help us grow and scale this business." And the gentleman that I was working with said, "Hey, I know this guy. runs a construction company. He's kind of sharp, maybe hard sell to get him away from his business, but maybe something he's interested in. Um, and so as a kid, early on in life, right, we always get the question, what do you want to do when you grow up? I never could give the cliche answer, firefighter, policeman, lawyer, doctor. I
Hmm.
always said, I just want to make a difference. I want to help people and I want to make an impact. When I saw the technology, I realized that this was the technology that would do exactly that. Help me to realize my childhood dreams of making an impact, taking this technology out to the world and offering it out to the public for the first time in its 30 years. It's always been held privately. And so this was the first opportunity for the public to be able to see the benefits of this technology.
Yeah, I want to learn a little bit more about the technology. I know we are going to go into that portion, but listening to your story, Joseph, I want to ask early on, like I'm talking about infant, toddler situation, you've shown just instances of faith. Is it one of those things where you guys were rooted in the church, or was it what is it? Because a lot of the decisions that you have been making are based off of faith. So I just wanted to see what is it early that made that work for you, or why is that?
Yes, definitely no early church rearing.
Mm-hmm.
Our family was a group of ragtag vagabonds mostly. However, my grandmother studied scripture every single day.
Mm-hmm.
She probably only went to church twice in her entire life, but read the Bible very intentionally, like I said, daily.
Mm-hmm.
She taught me about Jesus Christ. But the biggest cornerstone moment in my life was I was 5 years old, walking out of her kitchen into the dining room. I know exactly where I was, remember every detail like it was yesterday. And she was standing in the living room to my left, out of the corner of my eye. I could see her, but I heard an audible voice. It was the voice of God said, "You're going to do something for me one day, son, something great."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking around the home because it's only me and my grandmother in the home. This is definitely an audible male voice. And I said to my grandmother, I said, "Did you hear that, Nana?" She said, "Hear what, son?" I said, "I'm supposed to do something one day, something great." She said, very matter of factly, "I know."
Mm-hmm.
And from that moment, I never let that promise go.
Okay.
Now, fast forward almost 47 years later, meeting Jonathan Appel, driving to New York where his family had established their operations, grabbing all of the lab equipment and bringing it back to Texas where we have our lab and our business location now. We had been up a full 24 hours, exhausted. We had left Tennessee about 3 in the morning, got to Austin about 6 in the evening, worked, set up the lab. About 2:30 in the morning, we took our small reactor, put a bunch of garbage in there, made fuel,
Mm-hmm.
created a fire. And as we sat around exhausted, Jonathan said, "Hey guys, I want you to look around. We're on the verge of something great."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And right then, God flooded my memory with those promises. "Do you remember what I told you, son? You're going to do something for me one day, something great." Everything that I've done, all the actions that have led me here have been faith based.
Mm-hmm.
I walked away from that career hearing God say, "It's time for you to move." I left my home that I had been established in for 14 years. Driving home one day, God said, "It's time for you to move. I want you to leave now." I got to the house. I told my wife, "We have to move. It's time to go." She said, "Well, I know we've been talking about moving, but we don't have anything figured out yet." I said, "God does. Time to go. Start packing right now."
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that was a hard pill for her to swallow. She didn't understand all of it, but she knows my faith and she knows my communication with God. She went into the bathroom, cried for a few minutes, and then came out with a very vivid, distinct glow around her. I could tell that she had been in the presence of the Lord. She came out and she said, "God just told me that the house is going to sell in 4 days."
Mm-hmm.
The house sold in 4 days
Okay.
in a very, very tough real estate economy. Every decision that I've made has been based off of faith, including, you know, and I think we'll get to it, that burn the ship moment.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that a little bit more, but everything has been based on faith and really geared around the one conversation that I had with God at 5 years old.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you sharing that. Yes, we were right there to do the burn the ship moment, but listening to you, I just wanted you to go a little bit deeper into it because I want people to understand the foundation of Joseph. So I definitely appreciate you going back and sharing that story. And like you're right on cue. My next question for you was going to be you're getting ready to transition from a comfortable situation to go to a sounds like, although it had a lot of research behind it, a fairly new industry. What was that moment or event that happened that made Joseph say, hey, look, I'm going to burn the ship and go all in on this new technology?
Well, I had complete faith in the tech, the people surrounding the tech, the organization. Um, and the struggle was we were in a depressed economy in an election year. You know, and Eden was essentially a restart, a startup, of taking a valid, verified technology that had been in commercial operation, but not to the scaled down model that we were trying to bring it to. And it had been several years since this technology had been in the spotlight. The original inventor broke his back, leaving Istanbul, Turkey, had intended to come stateside and bring this technology forward, but he broke his back. So there was a delay in actually getting that launched. So Eden was essentially a restart, version 3 of the family technology that had been around for, like I said, 30 years with about 350 million invested in the research and development. But raising capital, even with this advanced technology in this depressed economy and in the election year, was uh, tough at best.
Mm-hmm.
But God had provided me and my family, my wife, with a substantial living over the years. We had, uh, you know, put away a nest egg. And as I was in prayer and said, Lord, we need some help. We've got to raise capital so we can get our proof of concept on our scaled down model. And he said, clearly, I've given you all the resources that you need to get this company moving. And so I understood what that meant. We had the capital resources sitting in the bank account. And so when I asked God, I said, what do we do? How much? How much do we put in? How do we manage this? He said, everything. He said, do you trust me? Yes, Lord. Then it's everything. If you hold anything back, you're not displaying this full trust. Just like you trusted me when I said to quit your career, just like you trusted me when I said move out of your home. It's the same level of trust. It is getting outside the boat. It is literally burning the ship because Jesus is not in the boat. He's out there on the water. And in order for me to get to him, I'm going to have to put complete faith and trust in him, push everything in and say, Lord, I'm all in. I hold nothing back.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to multiply and increase this much better than I am. So we pushed it all in, gave up everything to make sure that this business could be successful. And that was actually one of the catalysts and turning points for our capital raise. Once we made the commitment to tell God, look, we are all in. There's
Mm-hmm.
no safety net. There's no turning back. We're fully committed here, Lord. Once we did that, it was a little bit of a flood tide, and we were able to move forward with a little more expediency.
Awesome. Now, share with us about what it is that you guys are doing with the waste to energy.
Yeah, so Eden is a waste to energy technology, probably the most advanced waste to energy technology on the planet. I don't say that lightly. There are other viable waste to energy technologies out there: incineration, pyrolysis, gasification, anaerobic digestion. They all have their place, but what we do is significantly different. Um, we actually turn waste into an extreme value. We take the biggest liabilities on our planet and turn them into the greatest commodities on our planet. Energy is the most valuable commodity that we trade in anywhere around the world. And the Eden Energy Solutions takes all of these harmful liabilities, all of these waste streams, all of our MSW, and we turn that into clean, regenerative energy. We design, build, and operate modular, containerized waste energy systems ranging from 250 tons per day that convert all organic and industrial feedstocks into clean power, um, water, and marketable end products like biochar, organic fertilizers. Um, most of our end use products are all viable. They all have a value to them. On some rare occasions, through the process, you'll end up with rocks, metal, and glass, inert objects that aren't going to convert into any energy. Those are removed from the process. Outside of that, everything else is a viable, functional end use product. And here recently, we've really shifted our business model. Initially, we started out as an equipment manufacturer. We were going to sell this equipment to the public so that they could be the beneficiaries of it. They're pretty good revenue conversions when you're converting these waste streams into energy, and the returns are pretty lucrative. And so being able to get this technology out to the people so they could benefit from these revenue streams seemed like a no-brainer. Having said that, we did run into a situation where we found a lot of people did not want to be owners and operators of a second business. So we shifted that business model to more of a waste to energy SaaS model, waste to energy solutions as a service, offering that as strategic partnership agreements, master service agreements, JVs, where we don't sell the equipment, we partner in engaging long-term partnerships to help our end user uh, really solve their pollution problems and their energy problems.
Now, talking about those partners, shed a little bit more light on those partners and who they are and how we can help connect you to more of them.
Yeah, really, our ideal partner is anybody who's generating significant amounts of waste, and that's anywhere from 3 tons, and I said up to 250 tons. That's Eden Energy Solutions. We also have a subsidiary, Eden Engineering, and they handle and build anything above 250 tons per day. So we can actually build this up to 5,000 tons per day and greater. So ideally, our ideal clients are municipalities or areas that are drowning in waste and utility costs, especially where landfills are maxed out and where power and water are unreliable. Um, Ag waste, food companies, industrial operators that have a steady organic waste stream and high disposal fees. Um, any developers or eco communities, microgrids, especially island nations. Islands always have waste and energy problems, water problems. So those are some of the ideal partners that we're looking for. Again, as I said, this is really anybody who's producing large amounts of waste and wants to offset their energy costs.
Now, you mentioned the island because my next question was geographical. Is it one of those things where you build it at your shop and then you take it to them, or do you have to go to their location and build it specifically for their environment?
Yeah, it really depends on the system and the solution that we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the smaller modular scalable systems, they're all built in a facility and then shipped to site.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the larger scale facilities, 250 tons and above, those are built on site. There's always a feasibility study done where we take the client's particular waste streams, process those, and determine yields, front end processing, and back end storage. So uh, all of the smaller modular scalable plants are built in-house, and then the larger scales are built on site.
Now, you've shared with us a lot about your journey. You talked about, some of those things you had to overcome, when you're in that 15-year-old range and 17 pushing through, and now going through a manufacturing business and now owning your own business. Joseph, I'm confident you have acquired and nurtured some best practices that have helped you continue to be successful. Do you mind sharing with the audience some of those best practices that they can possibly add to their mix?
Yeah, I think something that you mentioned is the faith, making faith-based decisions, trusting my conviction over fear, and then backing that up with action. Um, Resourcefulness under the constraints that I've been in, building the momentum with limited capital and people, that makes us much more resourceful, right? We've got to dig in a little bit deeper, and then I think, from my tenure as a machinist, right? That precision um, machining, it's just hardwired me into, whether it's cutting a part to 10 thousandths of an inch or scaling, global waste to energy rollout. Precision matters. Details matter. We have to pay attention to the smallest details. Uh, but I'll tell you, I think um, my biggest skill set is, most importantly, is leading with heart. I think that is my greatest skill set, is being able to lead from that position, leading with competency, intimacy, integrity, and passion, and putting people first, and still being able to deliver results.
Yes, that's a great tidbit. I truly do appreciate that. As I am going through my matriculation in business, I see the importance of making sure that my people understand we have a purpose instead of it's just how many transactions can we get. It is actually trying to uplift people, educate people, and then taking care of my people. So I definitely appreciate you reiterating that for me. Now, we've talked a lot about the business, we've talked a lot about your business skills, the journey, but I really do want to talk about Joseph. So let's just say that the technology is taking off, people are adapting to it, they're getting small units, big units, and time and money is not an issue. What is it that Joseph would do with his time?
The Eden Initiative, and that is our philanthropic arm, designed to restore habitats, wildlife, communities, and ecosystems. Let me first start with the most important: community. If money were no object and I had all the free time, I would spend 90% of my time in the community, touching, talking to, and trying to figure out how we can best serve the community. Once we get into the community and we're able to uplift them, up level them, find out why people aren't participating, help them participate, get them the tools and skill sets that they need to participate, not just participate, but be able to participate at a high level. Once we've got the community engagement part tackled and we have people participating, those participants will then help us with the ecosystems, the habitats, the wildlife. When you get people centered around their heart, into a position of servitude, many hands make light the load. So if I could take all of my time and bandwidth, I would pour it right back into the people.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for having that huge heart. It is very important to have people like yourself to help this earth continue to spin, and we truly do appreciate that. Now, Joseph, if people have questions about your journey, about your waste of energy, or just simply about how you have that heart of compassion, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can reach us on our website, at edenenergy.co. You can reach us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, or you can reach me personally at joe@edenenergy.co. Happy to help answer any questions or help someone move in the right direction, positive direction.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joseph. And we truly do appreciate you coming on the show today. And we always try to honor our guests by giving them the last word. So please look into the camera and tell the people something good.
Uh, I think if there's one thing I want people to walk away with is, you don't have to have it all figured out to start. You just have the courage, and the care and the grit to keep going. Um, you know, I'm a seventh grade dropout who slept under bridges. I pushed a mower for 7 1/4 an hour. And today I help lead a company trying to heal the planet and the people on it. That gap was not closed by luck. It was closed by faith, hard work, and a stubborn belief that broken things, lands and systems, lives, they can be rebuilt. All right. So if we do the right thing when nobody's watching, we keep our word, and we lead with heart, um, then there's nothing we can't accomplish.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us today. And thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And to everyone that is watching, be kind and thanks.